my question from before. So, the soul, my question is, so every soul can play every sport?
Yep. Whether you want to or not, it doesn't matter. Because there are some sports, like I said, that are very dangerous to play. You know, very harsh on the body, very difficult. They ruin your body. Yeah. Why would you play them?
Well,
it wouldn't make any sense, right?
So it also is a reflection of our injuries, what we avoid to do?
Or what you choose to do and you avoid. Both a reflection frequently of injuries. But the average person is not programmed to avoid anything. And also not programmed to do anything. Right? We came to this earth in a completely uninhibited state, positively or negatively. We just came here to learn things. Whether you develop a desire to learn something or not is driven by two facts. One is whether you have a desire to do it and you want to do it for yourself. And the second is how many injuries you have about doing it. Right? And that's a lot about what other people have done.
So let's say I'm really bad with like ball games.
Yeah.
What's that?
Well, that's right. What's that? Like, ball games are fantastic. What's wrong? Can you see you must have some emotional impediments to them, whatever they may be. And they would all have come generally in childhood, generally speaking. You know, so, you know, many people do have impediments to ball games and so they play chess. Do you know what I mean? They do what they're good at and they don't do what they think they're bad at. My suggestion is try everything. Of course, if it looks very dangerous, don't do it. Like if it's free climbing a cliff, don't do it. Because if you make one mistake, you're dead. That doesn't make any sense to me. That's a crazy thing to do. You know, so don't do it. Like extreme sports that mean you're going to end up with head injuries or broken back or whatever if something goes wrong. Don't do them. That's just really silly. But when I say extreme, I mean like skiing, like snow skiing. Well, you can do it extreme or you can do it relaxed. Okay. So do it relaxed. The extreme, people are driven to for competitive reasons. Out of harmony with love, it's going to end up badly, sooner or later, to somebody. Right? Even if it's not me, it might be you who I'm competing with, right? Not good. But snow skiing, strapping some sticks on your leg, it potentially might break a leg, right? So take care while you're learning. Don't go down. You know, I remember when I was learning, there was this guy who was going, "Go on the black, go on the black, go on the black." And I'm going, "What? I don't even know how to ski yet." You know? So I'm not going on the black. You know, I'm going on the what is it? Green. Is it green?
Blue.
No, blue is the second one, I think. Green. Is it green? No, anyway, I go on the easiest thing first. How stupid would it be to me go on a harder thing or an intermediate thing if I'm just learning? You know? And it would also be wise for me to listen to my instructor if I've got one. So, you know, like I learned firstly how to stop myself, you know, at least I know how to brake now, you know, because that's going to be a problem otherwise. So I learn how to brake first, and then, of course, I learn how to, you know, do the movements of skiing, and then as I get good at it, feels good, it feels good, it feels good. And the reason what drives you to the next thing is it feels good, not because you're competing with your neighbour and you're all toughing it out and you're going, "I'm better than you." Not that reason, but just that it feels good to feel the wind on your face and the feeling of freedom that gives you, all that.
And also parents who are not allowed to do some sports, like I want to play like piano.
Yep.
They didn't want to.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the first thing I should do.
Well, yeah, like, you know, obviously not every parent can afford a piano, but they can afford a guitar probably.
Oh yeah.
You know, a lot of people can afford a guitar. And if they can't afford a guitar, a drum, whatever you call it, a drum, but they can afford it, is that, you know, a thing to bash. You know, or a little mouth organ or you know, something simple. You know, so the very first musical instrument I learned was a mouth organ. Somebody bought it from me, I can't remember who. And, you know, it's cheap. and you don't have to be a rich person to have some music, right? So, with a piano, you have to be pretty rich to get a piano. Like, there was no way in my childhood my parents would have ever had the money to even buy one. Yeah. There was none in my school because of the money involved to buy one. There was none in my family, I remember once going to one family and they did have a piano, right? It was like, my goodness me. It was one of those pianolas is that what it's called? Yeah. That has a script thing as well. Like, you put in a roll and it plays it for you. You just press the pedals. What an amazing device that was. And it's sort of like, I'm playing a song and I'm not even doing anything. And so your very first experience of piano. But you can see that music can be encouraged in a child by giving it just a small thing. It doesn't have to be a monstrous thing that costs more than a car. The key as a parent is to give your child opportunities for learning. That is within the scope of your ability to provide, not outside of the scope of your ability to provide. So what a lot of parents are doing now is that on Monday they're taking the piano, Tuesday they're taking the guitar, Wednesday they take them to gridiron, or sport, football, or soccer, or whatever. Thursday they take them to tennis, Friday and Saturday. There's some people who didn't come to this presentation because they've taken the kids to sport, right? And I'm going, what's more important, soul or sport? But soul's more important. Learning about that's more important than sport, right? So you also got to consider the priorities. Now, if you're, as a parent, you're taking your children to sport in the guise of them learning their soul, and you're doing it every day, they're learning one very important lesson that they shouldn't be learning in their soul, and that is they have complete control of your life. And they should never learn that in their soul because they don't have complete control of your life. According to the principle of free will, you do. If you don't want to go, don't go. No? That's a very important thing to understand. So you've got to be aware of what your child is learning in every area and what you're learning in every area, not just in the one area of physical sensation. The beliefs that they imbibe through their learning are going to be the most important thing they learn. And if you're teaching them to have bad beliefs about love of people, then that's going to be the very worst effect in their life that anything else could have. So you might teach them how to become a great tennis player, while at the same time teach them how to become a terrible person. And what's worse? Not knowing how to play tennis, or being a terrible person, an unloving person. Well, being an unloving person is going to cause them unhappiness. It's going to cause other people unhappiness. But more importantly, it's going to cause them unhappiness beyond their earth life. Way beyond when they could finish playing tennis, they're going to be unhappy because of what you taught them spiritually. Right? So the most important focus has to be the spiritual education. And that applies to you. The most important education you have is your spiritual education, without exception.